Welcome to Hanging Out with Robert, that's me. This video contains things that I encounter throughout the day. If for some reason I complete a task and you would like to see the details, you can click on the link in the description area below. This video also contains tips and tricks that I learned throughout the years. I plan on leaving this video accessible for about 30 days. After that, you can view it through my Patreon account. Thank you very much for watching. Here I am, looking for my Volvo valve stem removal tool. Man, I surely hope that this is not going to be one of these days where I spend 4 hours looking for one thing. I have my other one that my boy Manny got me. I can pull the valves out of the heads with this. I just think the Volvo one will be quicker. Anyway, let me glance. I'll give it 5-10 more minutes looking for my Volvo tool. I used to keep it in that box. I don't keep it there no more. I'm gonna check that other box. I don't even know where to start looking for in these boxes. I thought it was in here, but it's not. So I need to find that valve stem tool, a couple of parts to ship out to a couple people, and get these valves removed out of these heads so I can get these heads over to the machine shop. Stop by the junkyard, grab a couple things, and fix this car dog. Man, I'm getting confused. Whew, almost blew my mind. Found a head in the back of, I don't know, I think it's Gertrude or one of them names over there. And this thing looks like it's been freshly cut, made true. I think this is the head that came out of the white T5 that they were about to install in that white T5. I do not think it has new valve stem seals. So I'm going to swing this by the shop, make sure it's true. It's got a little gouge in the head over here. Not sure how that happened. But I'm going to take it, let the shop look at it. I'm going to pull one valve out of it, see if the valve stem seals are new. I doubt they are. And then I'm going to replace the valve stem seals if they are bad and use this head to install in the car. Pretty sure this is a 98 cylinder head. I don't see the lifters for it, but man, it's been cleaned up, almost ready to go. So I forgot I had this in there. So let me set this in the car, put something under it so whatever this is doesn't leak out and get in the floor of the car. Take this with me to the machine shop. I can see down in the valve chambers that the valves are clean. So somebody has taken this head apart at some point, maybe not too long ago, and cleaned these valves. Now the valve stem seals has cracking on them. You can see that cracking. So I'm going to replace the seals. But other than the seals being replaced, I think this head is ready to roll. Still going to make sure it's true and get this thing refurbished with new valve stem seals and throw it on the car. T5 head, baby. I'm probably going to get the last little bit of the carbon off of those exhaust valves. They look like they've been brushed pretty good. Then I'm going to make sure I check the seats of the valves and relap them. They don't look like they've been lapped. So I got these bins I'm going to stack the parts in, but this one's ready to go. Let me go get the other one out of the car. The one that's in the car there is probably real nasty. It came out of Moshe's car. This is head and cover 9842. I'm pretty sure that this is that NA head that I pulled off of Gregory's engine that he got from me. So this one needs to be cleaned. Valves need to be removed. Need to be confirmed that it's still true. It should be true. And it needs the valve stem seals replaced. So I'm going to go ahead and knock all the valves out of it and go from there. Put all the parts in the bin over there. Second bin from the bottom. And this engine was running well. Very high compression. but it had a lot of oil consumption, a lot of smoke. You see all how carboned up those exhaust valve ports are. So I'm gonna see if they'll clean it up, make sure it's true, give it back to me so I can finish it off. Let me put all the parts right there. All right, it is 12:44. Let me see how long it takes me to knock all these valves out of here. This head has the old style hydraulic lifters. Even though they were quiet, if I could find newer style, I'm going to replace them with the newer style. And man, look how black that was in there. I don't know if somebody put something else in here or what. I don't see any like sludge buildup. But man, that stuff was black. Horrible. I think this car's had a head gasket job. I think this little emblem over here is an Erling emblem on it. They probably installed aftermarket valve stem seals, which made this thing burn all this oil. That's my guess. I'm just guessing. Man, and it looks like it's been playing down more than it probably should have. This head may not be good. Oh, this is the ridge I'm looking for. I'm sorry, I was looking for this ridge here. It looks like it's been taken down pretty far. On the exhaust side, they're fine. On the intake side, that side is really close. It really doesn't have a ridge per se there. So this thing may be okay, it may not. We'll find out. And this is the problem with aftermarket tools. I got the tool here. I'm cranking this in, trying to release that valve, and I'm watching the tool spread open instead of the valve being pressed in. So the tool was not as strong as the spring. So I had to go get my little sledgehammer and tap this to break that loose. So that's going to be a mess. Let me lay this down and spray some WD-40 in here on these valves. Hopefully they'll come loose a little easier. Never seen that happen with my Volvo tool, but this one is spreading open. It's intake valve. Man, that valve stem seal is hard. Doesn't really have no... Yeah, it's a little pliable. Does have the spring on it. It's just hard. I still don't know why this stuff is so black in here. Maybe from running rich with fuel. Things are moving right along. I will say this. Man, these valve stem seals come out very easy. The loosest ones that I've ever seen. I also want to take a stab and guess that these valves, the intake ones, may be aftermarket valves. They are very tight in some of the guides, even with little to no pressure on them, with no valve stem seals. I was having a hard time pulling a few of them out like this. This exhaust valve was easy, but some of them intake valves, about 4 or 5 of them, were really tight in the valve guides. Now the other thing is this tool, you may see it has some painter's blue tape on this end. When I'm tightening this thing in, if I happen to pause or stop with the tape down, this handle falls out, falls all the way down to the ground. I got to reach down, pick it up. That and the fact that it spreads a little bit are the only two things I got against this. Other than that, this tool is a good tool, better than making your own with a C-clamp. So what I'm doing, I'm tightening it in. I put that in right in the middle of the valve best I can. I tighten this in about 3 turns. And nothing is happening on compressing the valve really. And then I tap it with my little sledge and you'll hear it pop. Pops loose. Then I tighten it in another 6 or 7 more turns. Then I can get the keepers out with my small magnet. Where'd I put my small magnet at? Small magnet here. I've been actually leaving it on the hammer so I don't lose it. And I'm getting them out one at a time. So I got this head to finish, then I got John Ward's head to finish. And then I can take these to the machine shop. Man, a couple of these valve stem seals are real bad. I'm able to pull them out with the valve still in there. But this is how easy they're coming out. Put the tool down in there. Grip it on there. Look, I barely grabbed it and it came off. And this one, half of the seal's missing. You see that? Everything above the spring, it looks like, is already broken off of it. I'm gonna reach down here and grab the next one. Grab it, barely pulled it, came right off. So I don't know what kind of valve stem seals those were. They may be the Erling because they came out of the Erling kit. Use only Volvo valve stem seals. Let me get something and put these on, get them off that brick. That brick don't need those oil stains on. I'm going to put a couple of plastic bags, a plastic barrier or cardboard barrier down in the back of my car where I'm going to carry these. Then I'm going to put a couple of oil eater pads down. And then I'm going to set the head back there. Now when I get to my new machine shop, I'm going to ask them what they need me to remove from these heads when I bring them in for cleaning. Because if all the studs are in there, I'd rather leave all the studs in the head. But I don't want them to remove anything and lose anything. And if they don't need that on there, or if they'll remove it, I'll remove that too. But if the head is already true, they have no reason to resurface it unless they're just fishing for a few extra bucks. So let me go ahead and get the car ready, set this in the car, and go get that last cylinder head I got. I think I'm going to take John's with me. I mentioned in the video that I shave gasket material off of metal surfaces like water pump gaskets, anaerobic sealant, head gasket material, stuff like that. So I take the razor blade in on an angle just like I would be shaving myself, shaving hair off my face, you know. So I do like that, trying to skim off any material or sludge or gasket material, stuff like that. Then I brush the area with the razor blade, and this is how this works. So you take the razor blade, stand it straight up, and go back and forth like that. You're being careful not to gouge into the metal, because if you gouge into the metal, you have a scratch and you get a problem. So that's how you can clean anaerobic sealant and some of this other stuff off of these metal surfaces without damaging it. Just be careful. When you're messing with stainless steel on aluminum, you could gouge it, scratch it, leave a groove in it, and then you'll have a leaking problem. Took me about 50 minutes to strip down that cylinder head with the tools I have here. I took the little spring seat metal pieces off too, because I don't want none of that stuff to get lost at the machine shop. So anything that could fall off, I took off. The only thing that's still on that cylinder head is the thermostat housing, intake manifold bolts, exhaust manifold bolts. I could pull that stuff off at the shop if he says it's the best thing to do. We'll see. Now this is the head that came off a Panther. The legendary Panther. Let me clean the numbers off, see what they are. Keep this matched up. 8640. You want to keep the cam cover matched to the cylinder head because these journals were machined together for your cams. Now, how important is that? It's pretty important, but I think you probably have a 20 to 30% chance of matching a different cover up. The purpose of these journals is to keep the cams from walking in and out while the engine's running. Keep them in the perfect position. Let those cams stay steady. So they machine this groove in here and in here together. Machining process is very precise. If you are off a little bit, that'll bind because of these guides. That cover is not flexible for moving right and left. These 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 guides keep that thing in a perfect position. The screws do. So this can't be off with an unmatching cover because it'll bind the cams and lock up, throw your valves, head, all that stuff. So anyway, Panther was losing oil because the valve stem seals, 363,000 miles on it. It burnt the valve. Pretty sure it was in number 2 cylinder, but heck, it might have been number 4. Number 4 valve was missing. Had to check the video to see. So number 4 burnt the exhaust valve. I'm gonna pull all the valves, pull the valve stem seals, make sure the head's true, which it should be, get it cleaned up, and then rebuild it with new valve stem seals. It's hard to resist, but I'm gonna do a little bragging. I don't know if the guy before me that had the car and put 187,000 miles on it used full synthetic, but I was using pretty much Mobil 1 full synthetic 10W40 the whole time I had the cylinder head installed on Panther. And man, look how clean the areas is. There's like literally no carbon or sludge build up down in here. Very little around here. This thing, man, I think it's a very clean head for having all these miles on it. 363,000 miles, 364,000 miles on this head. Full synthetic oil is real important, and I only use Mobil 1. Now these valve stem seals with that tool came off not as easy as the last head, but they came off pretty easy, even with the valves still sticking in there. So I credit a lot of that to the tool, because you know these seals were put on at the factory. I know they were put on right. So anyway, let me go ahead and get the last 10, get me some lunch. Maybe too late to find the cylinder head shop, but maybe not. These 10 only took me, I guess, 10 minutes, about a minute apiece. I guess it's confirmed that burnt valve was in number 4, because as you can see, number 4 valve that was remaining is very dark. Unburnt fuel that was in there before I unplugged the fuel injector. And this is the carbon buildup on the rest of these valves around the valve stem seals. So I'm gonna wire wheel all that off, get a couple of valves, keepers and stuff probably off of that car there, and put this back together once I get it from the machine shop. I'm not going to apologize, but I'm gonna go ahead and brag a little bit more, or just tell you guys a little something. Now, when I get a car, I do 2 oil changes according to the owner's recommendation. After that, I send an oil sample to Blackstone Labs. Then I change the oil according to the owner's manual specifications, maybe 3 more times. Then I send another sample to Blackstone Labs. Then I change the oil how they recommend. Man, this engine's seen a lot of 10,000 mile oil changes. I don't change oil every 3,000 miles. I don't change oil every 5,000 miles. 7,500 to 10,000 miles. They've recommended me go longer than that. So even with those long oil change intervals, there's like really no sludge buildup in this engine. A little carbon, dirty stuff there, couple spots, that's it. I don't use oil additives. I don't use oil cleaners. The only thing that I put in my car that's, I would say, extra is fuel injection cleaner. So man, I put fuel injector cleaner in there and I go from there. So hey, that's where I'm at. So if you guys are on full synthetic 3,000 mile oil changes, when you dump that oil, man, send it to me. I'll use it the rest of the way, because I think, you know, from experience and from lab results, it's not necessary to change oil that often. So that's where I'm at. I think how clean this engine is kind of speaks for itself. That's the intake ports. The exhaust ports, of course, are sludged up, dirty. You've seen the valves, keepers, stuff like that. I got this one stripped down in about 25 minutes. The springs, when I was compressing them with the tool, after I turned it 3 or 4 times, they popped loose on their own. So I didn't have to tap every one of them. I might have tapped one or two. Another thing is not as much gunk in there, so they seem to come out easier. The valves came out easier. I didn't have all that thermostat stuff on there. I was able to position it better, and everything just came out easier in this head. So the one took almost an hour, 50 minutes. This one took less than 30 minutes. I mentioned that I felt like this tool was being stretched out. You can see it don't even fit in the case anymore. It's been spread out wider, so I'll have to figure out a way to get that thing bent back down a little bit. Drop these cylinders heads off with Dennis. He said 3 at a time is plenty, so when he gets these 3 done, I'll drop off 2 or 3 more. He also said that it's probably going to be a week. Wasn't what I expected, but it is what it is, so I'll do what I can in the meantime. If you feel that this information was useful, please like it and share it with your social media friends. You can subscribe to my channel so that you will get notifications of future videos that I post. You can follow me on Twitter, and if you need to contact me directly, please visit my website. And if you have any questions, leave them below, and someone or myself will reply to them. Again, thank you very much for watching.